all fun and games till someone gets shot.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I want to talk about Project X Zone 2. In the first video, there was a very unique interaction between Jin Kazama, Kazuya, and Unknown. They didn't recognize her. And in that video, I was just sort of trying to understand and process why they may not be able to. And I told you guys at the end of that video, if more discoveries are made, if more things surface, then I will do a part 2. And here we are. Before we jump into it though, I do want to tell you guys in the comment section, I see a lot of people say do this character or talk about this game. I have a whole playlist dedicated to the lore. Go to that playlist and see if I made a video about your character. The second thing, in the first video, I seen so many people saying Unknown isn't canon. Project X Zone 2 isn't canon. And I said it in the video. I don't know if you guys made it that far in the video, but I said it. And two, the reason why I still put so much emphasis on things that are not canon, because the developers have shown us time and time again that just because something isn't canon right now does not mean it will remain canon. To give you 3 examples, JC, the female version of Julia, was introduced in the non-canon Tekken Tag Tournament 2 game. In Tekken 7, JC was made 100% canon. Another thing, Steve's ending for Tekken Tag Tournament 2 in a non-canon game was made 100% canon in Tekken 7.
Come here, NT-01. It's time for your injection.
The only one I remember is Dr. Kazuya. She was always nice to me.
Another example, the same time that show released, the Tekken producers, Harada and Michael Murray, they did an interview where they said that even though the series isn't canon, some of it will be made canon. The official setting of the game is exactly what they said. So just because Project X Zone 2 or Unknown isn't canon, that does not mean that we just don't talk about it. We just ignore it. Because some of these things will definitely reappear in Tekken 8, especially what we're going to talk about right now. So I have a lot of things to discuss. So after the first video ended, I went and did research for Project X Zone 2. I went through about 20 to 30 of the Project X Zone 2 chapter, just looking at how Kazuya and Jin were talking to each other. And some of those plot lines I want to focus on because it blows the mind. It blows the mind. When you get to Heihachi's introduction into the game, Heihachi says 3 generations of Mishimas. The gang's all here. Kazuya says, don't give me that sappy family crap. You Totorin old man. Jin says, I will eradicate this bloodline, and both of you with it. The reason why this sentence from Jin is so important is because it echoes the same thing he says in Tekken 8. I have 2 videos already diving really deep into the idea of this, but I just want to mention it because this is again where Jin is repeating the same thing. In Ingrid's introduction to the story, Ingrid said, the devil gene, That's far too much power for one person to have. Kazuya laughs and says, but now it's under my full control. Jin says, someday I'll end you, and that accursed power. As I was going through chapter by chapter, just looking at some of the dialogue between Jin, Kazuya, and the other characters, Kazuya was just a savage the whole entire game. He was just a savage, and I love it. What he displayed in Project X Zone 2 and Project X Zone 1, I hope he brings that same level of tenacity in Tekken 8. In Valkyrie's introduction to the story, this is another very fascinating, important line of dialogue from Kazuya. Kazuya says, the power of the angels, someday it too will be mine. Valkyrie says, drowning in power will destroy you soon enough. Your son will grieve for you. Jin says, fat chance, maybe I'll throw a party. These Mishimas are just so different from every other character in the game. But the part here where Kazuya says, someday the power of the angels, will be his. Maybe that's a hint at what's to come. This actually reminds me of a Tekken comic. In the Tekken comic, Heihachi was trying to do this exact thing. He had Angel tied up to some machine and he was trying to siphon her power. He got some of it, but he wasn't able to get all of it. What if Kazuya does that? What if Kazuya tries to siphon Angel's power in the same way? Even though these things are not canon, the fact that they're introduced to us, they're shown to us, that means that it may at least be possible if the right stars align, right? Now, this part of the video is where we start focusing heavily on unknown. So I have 3 videos. All of these are taken from chapter 40 of Project X Zone 2, and it's a special interaction between Unknown, Jin, and Kazuya. Now, Unknown shows up. She teleports into the battle. Jin yells, "It's her. Why do you keep following us around?" "Stop it," Kazuya says. Unknown speaks for the first time ever and says, "Leave here or else." Jin says, "What?" She's never spoken a word up until now. I don't think she even spoke in the Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Unknown says, "You must ascend." Heihachi steps in and says, "Ascend? What does that mean? It could be a trap." Jin says, "She always shows up whenever we find gold chains. Has she been trying to guide us?" Kazuya says, "Coincidence. We don't need your help. We'll put an end to this nonsense with or without it." Unknown speaks again and says, "Kazuya." It's crazy how cold-hearted Kazuya is towards Unknown. He says, "It's time to go back to sleep for good." Jin says, "Yes, this ends here." Unknown says, "Jin." As they all start to fight each other, they start to double team Unknown. Unknown eventually loses. After being defeated, she says one final thing. "Go. This world is in your hands." And then she explodes. Heihachi says, "Look like it's finally over. I thought I heard her say something at the end." Kazuya says, "Quiet, Heihachi. She won't be coming back. That's all that matters." Jin says, "Don't worry. We'll make sure you never need to come back again." So you can see here just the difference between the two. Kazuya is like so blinded by rage and hatred, and I don't know if it's for Unknown, I don't know if it's for Jun Kazama, I don't know if he just hates the world at this point. But Jin, even though he's not sure if it is her or if it's not her, he still has some sort of attachments to this character. It really is crazy when you start to analyze how these characters interact, because that's what I'm really after in doing these videos. Yeah, this isn't canon, but the interactions, the way that they're treating each other, talking to each other, these are things you would have to believe the real Jin would say to the real Kazuya. The part in here that really like blew the mind is when Jin was talking about the gold chains. Every time they see gold chains, Unknown pops up. Now, the reason why this stands out to me is because, of course, in Tekken 8, at the end, they had the chains break and the chains turned into 8. A lot of people could see that as the chains being a reference to the Devil Gene, to Devil Jin. He has chains incorporated into his design. Claudio has chains incorporated into his design. But also the chains can be some sort of reference to Unknown, to Jun Kazama. Chains in Tekken 8 is very symbolic and it can mean a lot of things. Now we know if we see gold chains, this has some reference to Unknown and or Jun Kazama. Thank you everyone for sending me stuff on Twitter and helping me through this discovery process. It's fascinating how Project X Zone 2 is so old. A lot of these things is so old, but we're just now discovering it and uncovering these things that was planted here long time ago. I will continue my search. You guys should too. I'm pretty sure there's more Easter eggs just waiting to be discovered. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you everyone for watching, subscribing, liking, and everything else. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.